Hi, everyone. I'm Steven Mantz, host and anchor of the Brooklyn Community Democracy Channel. With me today is our good friend, David Rosenfeld. Hi, David.
Hi, good to see everybody.
Good to have you here. All right, so today we're just talking about a little bit about how New York City's current planning, urban planning is being uh, orchestrated to respond to some of the threats of climate change. So, David,
Yes.
you've had a long experience working with the city. Can you tell us some of what they're doing as far as the bike paths go and you've had a lot of involvement with making people aware of city programs and city services. What is some of the citywide bike program being contemplated right now?
Well, at least for the last two administrations, the mayors, Mayor de Blasio, Mayor Adams, are looking to expand the safe biking path throughout the city.
Wow.
That's not so straightforward because you can have a biking path, but it's not necessarily a guarded, safe biking path. So if you have a biking path in which the big issue there is that cars can open up the door and then people actually get killed this way.
Wow.
So you want to have a guarded biking path, and they're trying to open up more of that, and there are some of that. So you can't just open up a biking path without other kinds of planning. Plus, of course, is concerned about sharing the lanes between the cars and the parking. So, but in general, it's considered that biking is a positive thing for the city. It reduces pollution. It's good for exercise. Good for climate.
Wow.
So there is, and throughout the country, there's cities that are large cities, big cities are trying to make biking more and more bike friendly cities.
So that's neat. So tell me about bike safety. What are some of I know they've been putting out bike lanes. What are some of the traffic rules people should be aware of in sharing the street with bicycles?
Well, people should realize that a bicycle actually should follow the rules exactly like a car. So actually, it's not so much the cars, it's the bikes that need to follow the rules, because very often the bikers don't follow the rules.
Okay, so what are the rules?
Well, I mean, it should be the same as a car. If a biker is going to make a biker should be starting a cyclist should be stopping at a red light, not going through. Should be probably still hand signaling if they are going to turn. Okay, because they don't have turning
can you tell us about the bike lanes? I've noticed these bike lanes now on major thoroughfares in downtown Brooklyn. How do those work?
Well, they are trying to expand these bike lanes. The bike lanes, if they're guarded bike lanes and they're not shared with cars that could open the doors. I mean, that's people get killed that way. A door is opens and a biker comes into it. So that's otherwise they are trying to expand the bike lanes. How they work otherwise, you'd have to look at the signs in the bike lanes. It's probably one going one direction, one going another direction. They're again, it's expanding. Some places they may be open on like certain days or certain days and shared.
I actually recall a past era in New York. There was a period in the 1990s where bike messengers were as thick as birds on the streets of New York. Now, most people don't realize that era has actually come to a close, probably due to email. I remember when bike messengers, Holt Courier was one of the famous ones. They were just all over the city. There were bike couriers everywhere. And now you never see them.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean. There's right now there's a whole big issue with bike deliverers.
No, I mean business. There was a business courier service. They were all over Midtown during working hours.
Okay, but now deliverers are the big problem.
Oh, okay.
They're not on bicycles; they're on scooters.
Wow. But so what's the issue there?
Well, I mean, you can see they're all over the. I mean, you ask anyone, they're all over the sidewalk. I don't know. I mean, I've never actually seen an accident, but I've heard there are accidents.
Okay.
I've certainly seen these people on sidewalks. Wow. And the big problem there is that they're not regulated because they're not bicycles, they're scooters. Yes. And they're not cars.
I've heard that the NYPD has said there's a growing incidence of crime due to scooters, and they want to maybe register them like cars are registered.
Exactly. That's the problem. Exactly. If they're not registered, they don't have to be registered because they're not bicycles, they're not cars. And you're right, there's been a growing incident. Wherever there's a positive, there's a negative. Right. So they could be great things. You could be good for transportation. They're clean transportation because they're electric. But unfortunately, there are people who are misusing them, either going on the sidewalk or not following rules on the road, or as you say, using them for nefarious purposes.
Right. So I guess the only thing a member of the public could do in regards to that is either just be on the lookout, be vigilant, and either call your local legislators or call law enforcement if there's any really problematic behavior.
That's exactly right. You can call 311.
Right.
Because you can do that as well. You can call your legislator. And again, just as you said, that ultimately these need to be regulated so that they are regulated, there has to be enforced. You have to have regulations and enforcement. Even now, they're not allowed to be on the sidewalk, and I never see any enforcement. They're all over the sidewalk. So there has to be enforcement.
Okay, good to know. Well, that's all for today, folks, but some important points. Thank you, David Rosenfeld, for your wise and sage counsel as always. It's always a pleasure to have you here on the program, and we always enjoy having you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, glad to be here. Folks, tune in again. Meanwhile, please press the subscribe button, press the like button on our videos. Remember to comment and keep checking back. We're uploading new content all the time. And thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye. All right, if we just see that looks good, then